The U.S. war with Iran is imminent, and Israel's preparing for a scenario of war within days. More than 150 U.S. military cargo jets have moved weapons systems and ammo to the Middle East. Another 50 fighter jets in 24 hours, including F-35s, F-22s, F-16s. The last time they sent this squadron of F-22s, about a dozen F-22s, 4 days later, we saw the 12-day war begin. There will soon be 2 U.S. aircraft carriers stationed in the region, the Abraham Lincoln, the Gerald Ford. The Gerald Ford is apparently moving at maximum speed to the region right now. 5,000 graves have apparently been prepared for American soldiers on the outskirts of Tehran already. I've taken the past few days off of streaming, but I come back with a very important message for all of you. That being that war on Iran is about to take place. I am 100% guaranteed about this fact. It probably within the next week or so, I would imagine. The only reason why I say probably is because depending on who you follow, some Sunnis, some Shias, the 18th or 19th is the start of Ramadan, which will take place for about a month. Until, the 20th of next month, there will be the holy month of Ramadan. So it does seem a bit odd that they would strike during Ramadan because you attack, then you're going to inspire a great deal of zeal amongst the Iranian people, amongst the Shia revolutionaries. But, given how much they're putting into the region right now, practically a third of the U.S. Navy, we're going to be going over some of the key details as to what they're sending over, how quickly they're sending it over, what they're moving around, and where they're moving it to. It does appear to be quite obvious that shit is about to go down. This is going to be an attempt to strike at the very heart, anything that moves in Iran all at once. It's going to be one, hopefully in the eyes of Israel and the United States, one final blow at the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, if they in fact do decide to do that, the Iranians are going to sense the threat. They are going to understand that this is in fact a make or break moment, potentially the end of the Islamic Republic, and they will respond by turning the entire region from Iran to Jordan, from Yemen to Kuwait, into a giant blaze. That's what's going to happen. And the ramifications of this, really, we can't even begin to comprehend. It could be decades before we even comprehend how much this could potentially change the entire world. In the immediate, in the short term, global energy crisis, that is a certainty if in fact this is what I am expecting to take place, a large-scale blowout from both sides. But let's kind of go through this and see what's happening. I want to remind you that there were many people saying things like, oh, Jackson, silly, you're being hyperbolic here. This is not going to happen. The Iranians scared the Americans off. Trump doesn't really want this, blah, 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 this and the third. The whole time I was telling you all, not for reasons of, trying to amp you up, hype you up, anything to do with being hyperbolic. It was nothing to that effect. It's that we witnessed a historic level of U.S. military assets being placed in the region. We have known that the U.S. wanted to take out Iran. General Wesley Clark was the first person that told us it out loud as part of a cohesive plan. The U.S. has already taken out most other countries that were on that 8-country list in tandem with Israel and in the United Kingdom, of course. And now we are witnessing the final large-scale blow against Iran. Okay, so this was something I saw to be quite clear. The nothing ever happens crowd, I think they're about to be proven wrong in a very big way. You don't send 2 U.S. aircraft carriers over. You don't send a third of the U.S. Navy. You don't send all these U.S. Air Force assets over for nothing. And this opportunity will not come again for the Israelis. They know that. The Americans know that. Everyone in the deep state knows it. They are salivating at the thought of getting these, multinational corporations, these finance capital behemoths into Iran and chewing it all up and spitting it out on the plates of the Rothschilds. to pick apart for pieces and scrape profits off the bones of the Iranian revolution. This is what they've been dreaming of, and it looks like we are about to get that. So I hate to say I feel as though I'm about to be vindicated, because what we're about to witness is probably going to be, as I said, it's going to be history changing. It's going to be horrific. It's going to be mind bending on both sides, probably, what we're about to witness. But, I predicted that Maduro would be overthrown. In 2024, I made that prediction. I predicted that Syria was going to fall about 6 months before it happened. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm like some all-knowing wizard or anything like that. I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel. But you have to look at what's happening around you. You can't be naive. You can't be stupid. And, well, let's take a look at exactly what is happening around us right now as some people try to deny reality. First of all, Axios is already reporting this. Axios reporting this, it's about to happen, because it's reached the cream, so to speak. It's reached the top. These discussions are not just happening in back rooms. These are happening with many verified sources that Axios can pull from. They're reporting evidence that the U.S. war with Iran is imminent, and Israel's preparing for a scenario with war within days, which is expected to include weeks-long full-fledged war unlike Venezuela. Joint U.S.-Israeli campaign, much broader in scope than the 12-day war in June. U.S. Armada now consists of 2 U.S. aircraft carriers, 12 warships, hundreds of fighter jets, and multiple air defense systems. More than 150 U.S. military cargo jets have moved weapon systems and ammo to the Middle East. Another 50 fighter jets in 24 hours, including F-35s, F-22s, F-16s. Oil prices are surging above $64 a barrel on the news. So, worth noting that the last time they sent this squadron of F-22s, about a dozen F-22s, 4 days later, we saw the 12-day war begin. Okay, so not to say that that's like a guarantee or anything. It's just interesting, right? The supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is giving some very fiery speeches before the revolution. He's speaking here in front of a sign that says, "If anyone attacks you, truly you shall retaliate in an equal manner." So that's a little bit of an idea as to what is to come, okay? The U.S. military buildup in the Middle East has actually doubled in the last 8 hours. This is not pressure. They want war, okay? So you can see there's no use for me to even go through what they've got in the region, because they've got anything and everything they could possibly want for any situation. Electronic warfare, every single type of fighter jet, refueling cargo, full U.S. carrier strike groups, tons of air defenses at every single U.S. air base that they need them at. And of course, we saw that this was reported a few days ago. This was very interesting. Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri went under temporary FAA flight halt. The NOTAM was issued on February 14th, closing the aerodrome through February 17th. Radar approach services were suspended from February 13th to the 17th. And it just so happens that Whiteman in Missouri is home to America's entire B-2 stealth bomber fleet, the only aircraft capable of delivering massive ordnance penetrators. Why would they want to block us all from seeing whether or not they're taking B-2s out of Missouri? Maybe moving them further closer to the Pacific, getting them in a staging position to make that 24-hour trek over to the Persian Gulf. I would have to imagine that is the thought process here. So let's take a look at this. This was a few moments ago. 3 U.S. Air Force E-3 Sentry jets lifted off from Britain, bound for Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. Now, it's worth noting that most of the U.S. air assets are being sent to I think it's called Muwafaq in Jordan. The reason why we are witnessing the, strategic withdrawal of U.S. assets from some bases in Iraq, some bases in Syria, is because the base in Jordan would require Iran to use long-range missiles, okay, medium to long-range missiles. Most of Iran's missile supply are ballistic, yes, but short range, okay? And the short-range missiles they have in large supply. Long-range missiles, not as high supply. They're rare, they're more expensive, they're in shorter supply. And the thought process is maybe the Iranian leadership would rather save those to bomb Tel Aviv rather than using those to bomb the U.S. air assets in Jordan. And I would imagine they're probably correct in that assumption. By the way, President Pezeshkian just came out. I got this notification saying, if the Americans or the Israelis want to assassinate me, if I am to be sacrificed for Islam and Iran, let them do it, and I would be proud to be a martyr. It is a lofty goal. That's the mentality of the reformist leader, the more liberal-minded leader of Iran right now. So that should tell you everything you need to know about what is happening. I was invited to go and meet with President Pezeshkian at the UN General Assembly a few months ago, and I couldn't go, but I had a friend who went to the meeting instead, and he told me that Pezeshkian communicated the fact that he was very aware that his life was on borrowed time, and that it was only a matter of time before Israel and the U.S. attacked again, and he was killed. So that's the mentality of the reformist leader of Iran right now, okay? Now, we also saw over the past 24 hours, I mean, I have seen nothing like this ever in my entire life. Non-stop tankers on the move, absolutely nuts. 150 that they have sent to the region. They want war, it's very clear. Large group of U.S. Air Force refueling tankers just took off from Florida, bound for the Middle East via Bulgaria as well. So, like I said, they're sending anything and everything they can right now to the region. There haven't been this many U.S. aircraft on their way or stationed in the Middle East since Operation Iraqi Freedom back in 2003. So, to give you the scope and scale of what they are planning, when I say that they are going to do a complete blowout on the first strike, that's what I mean. This is what they have in mind. It is kind of a make or break moment for all parties involved here. And I say all parties, including the United States, because if in fact the Iranian government, the Islamic Republic, survives this somehow by the grace of God, if they survive this, this will be the biggest defeat of the United States, bigger than Iraq, bigger than Afghanistan, bigger than Vietnam. This will be absolutely massive, historic L, okay? Now, most importantly, I would argue, is that the Gerald Ford, which as I understand is the largest U.S. aircraft carrier, the most deadly, is en route right now. There will soon be 2 U.S. aircraft carriers stationed in the region, the Abraham Lincoln, the Gerald Ford, and the Gerald Ford is apparently moving at maximum speed to the region right now. We got a report a few minutes ago. USS Gerald Ford is moving at full speed toward the Middle East and is already expected to cross the Strait of Gibraltar tomorrow. It is currently located off the coast of Morocco. So you remember I was telling you guys, even though there was no official sign that Trump had given that, oh yeah, we're sending it over to Iran, to Iran's direction, there were rumors, there were reports that I was getting from sources that I have that it was already en route. And given that it's already at the Strait of Gibraltar, yes, I think that's quite clear that it was already en route for some time, because if it was moving at a snail pace, if it was moving at a normal speed, it would take potentially weeks to get there. It's like a river that the dam was opened up and it's just flowing out at full speed, full capacity, full velocity, flowing out toward Iran right now. Over the past 12 hours, massive movements of aerial assets toward the Middle East have continued. There have not been this many U.S. aircraft carrier on their way or stationed in the Middle East since Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003. So that's what we are looking at right now. Really not a good situation at all, okay? Even Polymarket has finally picked up on the fact that war is about to begin. I'd mentioned the fact that the Polymarket polls, I'm not a betting guy, but they were pretty low for an extended period of time. The potential of strikes by March 31st, the end of next month, it was down at like 35%, 30% just about a week and a half ago, and now it's all the way up to 60%. Okay? Iran's leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, said that it seems that the president of the United States keeps saying that our army is the strongest army in the world. But let me tell you that the strongest army in the world may sometimes be struck so hard that it cannot get back up. They keep saying we have sent aircraft carriers toward Iran. Very well. An aircraft carrier is indeed a dangerous asset. But more dangerous than the carrier is the weapon that can send this carrier to the bottom of the sea. In one of his recent remarks, the U.S. president said that for 47 years, America has not been able to eliminate the Islamic Republic. He complained about it to his own people. For 47 years, America has not been able to eliminate the Islamic Republic. This is a good admission. I say, you will not be able to do so either. So that is the rhetoric that we are getting out of Iran. The Russians are sending more Mi-28 attack helicopters to Iran right now. And the consensus among the Iranian military leaders is that in an effort to stymie or confront this American and Israeli aggression, the only option is to inflict maximum casualties on the Americans. The Iranian military believes that inflicting casualties on American troops will establish credible deterrence. In addition to that, we have seen the Iranians are very prepared as they can be, I guess, for this. Iran is completely burying newly built concrete sarcophagus at the Talikan 2 site with soil to protect it from strikes. The site is suspected to be a hardened structure used for high explosive testing and was active in this capacity during the AMAD program, Iran's nuclear weapons program in the early 2000s. So you can see that. In addition to that, we know that all of the nuclear sites in Iran, the entrances and the exits of these sites have been hardened, I guess you can say. They've put a bunch of dirt and soil, building it up on top of where I guess the U.S. would potentially intend to launch a missile down into. They are burying the Isfahan tunnel entrances, Talikan 2, transferring large amounts of anti-ship missiles to the Persian Gulf Coast and Abu Musa and Tum sites, conducting missile tests and AD tests on almost daily basis, hardening ballistic missile base entrances and transferring some to the eastern bases, canceling most pre-planned appearances of Ayatollah Khamenei. It is quite obvious what they're planning here. And I also saw this. This is quite something. I don't even know if this is real or not, but I saw Middle East Spectator shared it, and they're a pretty damn good source. 5,000 graves have apparently been prepared for American soldiers on the outskirts of Tehran already. The CEO of Behesh Zahra, Tehran's largest cemetery, says that a separate location was needed because U.S. soldiers cannot be buried in a Muslim cemetery. We are prepared for all scenarios, although we hope a war won't happen. If it does, this cemetery will provide a dignified resting place for the enemy. So, folks, that is what is going on right now in and around Iran. It is going to happen. It's not hyperbole. This is not hype. This is not amping the situation. This is just a very, very dry look at the situation. And I can tell you that I would expect it to happen probably within a week. Although, the only thing that gives me pause is that, of course, this is now the official holy month of Ramadan. I explained why I think it might be, counterintuitive to attack Iran during the holy month of Ramadan, but they seem intent on doing it. I don't think the Israelis want to let this chance, this opportunity as they see it, slip away. After the holy month of Ramadan, there are several Jewish holidays, important Jewish holidays that the IDF has exploited on many occasions over the past few years in their various wars throughout the region. And I could see them continuing the war into that period, Passover included. And not too long after that, we will have the largest sporting event in the entire world hosted by the United States, I believe in June or July. the FIFA World Cup is set to be held in America. So the question is for the Americans, for the Israelis, I think that they want probably everything to be wrapped up by then. I don't think that this is going to be a multi-year operation if the Americans could have it their way. Obviously, the question stands, how much is Iran willing to throw back? How much will the Americans be willing to sacrifice? How long can this go on? The Americans have their way. I think that Trump would want this all closed and solidified before the FIFA World Cup, but anything could happen. And that's my honest assessment. I wanted to come back here and let you all know this. Tomorrow, we will be having another stream, so you can expect me live yet again tomorrow. I took a little break, but we are back. And, well, I hope tomorrow we have better news to report on, but I think that we are at the very tip of the iceberg, and I think it's about to get very bad very quickly. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.